Hi everyone, welcome to my next car review. We're going to be looking at this Kia Picanto. Now, we did say in the other review that we were going to be doing cars that are more affordable, and this is probably an ideal first car. So, let's get into it. So Kia is a less fashionable car make, but to be honest, I think this car has got everything to actually qualify as an ideal first car. The looks of it, I like it. It's small, it's compact, and it's an ideal city car, which is probably perfect, like I've just said, for your first one. What are your thoughts on the looks? For me, it doesn't thrill or offend. It's just sort of like middle of the road. Would it be something that I look at and go, oh, that's lovely? No. But on a first car, there's a little bit more important things that you need to worry about. So the space in this car, what's it like? Well, I'm used to driving obviously a bigger car, but there's still plenty of room for me in here. There's plenty of headroom, leg room. I don't feel cramped whatsoever. Don't forget I'm 6'2". But let's have a little look to see whether there's enough space for me to sit behind me. So I'm a little cramped. My knees are touching the back of this seat. Could I stay in here for a long while? No. However, I could make shorter journeys so it wouldn't be a problem. So all in all, for the size of the car, I think that's a pretty good result. What do you think? Boot wise, there's not loads of space. However, there is enough to get maybe a few bags of shopping. And to be honest, again, these city cars aren't designed to be carrying huge big suitcases. So what's the fit and finish like in here? Well, it's actually pretty good. At this price point, we're not expecting amazing things, but it's all comfortable. All the materials are reasonable. There's a few hard plastics here and there, especially here on the steering wheel. However, it's pretty good. No major problems. The seats, they're quite comfortable. Nice material, no problems. They seem quite hard wearing as well. There's no problems with that. And regarding the seat, there is a height adjust. It's a little bit difficult to get your hand to with the door bin. I'm going to go on to the door bins in a second, but it does move up or down. Obviously the rake moves, the headrest moves, no problem there. The steering wheel also moves, but it only moves up or down. It doesn't move in or out. But I've not found it difficult getting into the correct position, but other people of different heights may find a few problems. But to be honest, it's pretty well equipped. All the door bins are of decent size. I've got my drone charging down there, and there's a couple of big bottle holders. There's plenty of room in the door bins for decent sized bottles as well, so no problems there. All in all, it's pretty good, no problems. We're not expecting massive amounts of tech in these probable first cars either. This one's got Bluetooth, it's got the normal safety systems that you would expect. It's got some voice control here, some volume controls on the steering wheel. So that's all good. It's probably at the base level that you would expect. It's not got built-in sat-nav, but again, a lot of people put a phone holder in. We've got one here where you can maybe put your phone in and set Google Maps if you need a sat-nav, so that's not a massive issue. The rest of the stuff, it's fairly well equipped. We've got a rev counter, all the gauges seem pretty good, no problems. Intermittent wipers, it's got a rear wiper as well. Like I said, all the things that you would expect on this base level city car. Perfect for the first one. So let's get driving and go and see what it's like to drive. I said this is the 1 litre, it's a 3-cylinder engine. It's pretty good on fuel. The person who owns this car, who has kindly lent me it to do this little review, has been averaging 35.5 miles a gallon. But I do know that the journeys on this are very short. I'm suspecting you're going to get into the 40 miles a gallon. It is a petrol, it's not diesel, but you can distinctly hear, I think, the classic 3-cylinder engine. It doesn't run brilliantly smooth. It always feels as though it's a little bit close to stalling. It's not, it's just a characteristic, I think, of 3-cylinder engines. But let's get driving and we'll go and see what it's like. So we're definitely in need of air conditioning today, and that comes with this car as well. So we've got air conditioning going. First of all, I'm going to have a little look and see what the turning circle's like. We're going to do some manoeuvring a little bit later on, but I struggled getting my car round on this road comfortably in 3 without going onto the grass. Now, this beeping is an aftermarket reversing sensor that was fitted. Reversing sensors don't come with it. And the girl whose car this is, she's had a few problems with it. It just constantly beeps. So excuse me when I do put it into reverse even a little bit later on, but that's one thing that you may want to get actually with your car when you buy it. Aftermarket systems generally aren't as good. But the turning circle, honestly, brilliant. No problems. It got round a lot easier than my car did. We've got central locking. We've just heard that go on, and that's a given as well. We've also got electric mirrors on this car, which is again something that you would probably expect in a car nowadays. What does it feel like? Well, it feels quite comfortable. The suspension seems reasonable. The gear changes seem nice and positive and nice and smooth, and all the controls feel lovely and light. The steering, it's really light, there's not much to it, and so do actually the other pedals. The accelerator pedal is nice and light, the clutch pedal's particularly light. So like I said, it's an ideal first car. It is also 5 years old, this car. Now this is another thing which is a good benefit of the Kia. They come with a 7-year 100,000 mile warranty. So even this car at 5 years old, it's still got 2 years warranty left, and that could be an important point in you purchasing your first car, because you've got 2 years really peace of mind knowing that if anything major goes wrong, it's going to get fixed. Talking about fixing stuff, a service for this car, again, I'm going to go with the main dealer. Like I said with my car, I've already given the ring and found out exactly how much it is. A main dealer 5th year service for this car is £149. Now that's way cheaper than it was with my BMW. You would expect that, but honestly, it's a lot cheaper than actually I expected it to be. I was quite pleasantly surprised. What do you think? Is that pretty good value from a main dealer? £149 for a service? I think so. What are the other costs like? Well, tax for a 1 litre 3-cylinder Kia Picanto is £20 a year. That's pretty good. Insurance wise as well, I got a quote quoting my normal parameters. I'm going to say from my home address, I'm going to say 10,000 miles a year. I'm going to say it's protected, no claims, and insurance for me from my home address was only £195 a year. So that works out at around £16 a month. So compared to the £41 a month for my BMW, again, I think that's pretty good value. It is a Group 2 insurance though, so that's why it's pretty good value. And again, is that making it an ideal choice for a first car? Perhaps. Tyres are also a fair bit cheaper than they were, or than they are on my BMW. Again, I'm only going to quote recognised brands, fairly premium brands, and I'm going to give 2 examples. I've priced the tyres up for this car, and they run 165 60/14s, So it's a smaller tyre, so that doesn't always mean they're going to be cheaper. It just depends a lot of the time on the popularity of that particular size. But the tyres for this car, I got a quote for a set of Toyos, which are probably a lower premium brand. They're still pretty good tyres, and they were £55 each. That's the same all round. But if you would like Pirellis on this car, which was the highest premium tyre that I could find, they would be £77. So as you can see, the cost of putting tyres and rubber on this car is a lot lower than it was on my 3 Series. The sound deadening and everything that goes along with this car isn't as premium as I'm used to, but it's not too loud. It's actually nice to hear a little bit of a petrol engine rather than my tractor-ish diesel. So honestly, it's a nice place to be. Would it be good for super long journeys? No, I don't think so, but that's not really what this car's designed for. It's designed for the city stuff, and it does a good job at exactly that. The overall cost for this car, let's have a little go with this, and again I'm going to use the same parameters as I did with my BMW. I've looked on Auto Trader and I've found a similar age, similar spec car. However, I couldn't find one with the low amount of miles that this car's done. It's done 13,000, 12,800 miles, and I couldn't find one with that lower mileage. But I picked the next nearest thing. It was the same age, it was the same spec. It had 33,000 miles rather than just this 13, and it was £4,800. Now, going with the same parameters that I put with my BMW, leaving a £500 deposit on a 3-year PCP, this car is only £108 a month. That's pretty good, I think, over 3 years. That's 10,000 miles, but honestly, I think that's pretty good value. It's probably the same sort of price as you would be paying for a lesson every week. So if you're having a lesson every week and then you pass your test and now you're not having to pay for those lessons every week, you could probably buy this car instead. The all-round vision is something that I would like to mention. There seems to be a lot of glass in this car, which is lovely if you're manoeuvring in tight spaces, or if you're finding it more difficult judging space and how wide your car is. This car is going to help you out massively. Even the mirrors are a very good size. So honestly, it's an easy, lovely car to drive as well. So in the number of years that this car has been owned, and it's actually one of my lad's girlfriend's car. She hasn't had it from new, but in the few years that she's had it, it's been fairly reliable. She did have a new battery in it during lockdown, but I think a lot of people did have problems with batteries and the like under lockdown because a lot of the cars were just put to the side and weren't being used very much. So that's expected. Apart from that, there hasn't been much that's been going wrong with it, but I think that should really be expected because it's, as I've said, only done just under 13,000 miles in 5 years, so it's not used much. But sometimes that can also be just as much of a problem, so don't necessarily be put off by higher mileage cars if they've been looked after properly. Sometimes the smaller, shorter journeys can actually do more damage. But what we're going to do, just as we did with my car, we're going to head up to the motorway. We're going to have a look to see the acceleration. We're not fussed on 0 to 60, never bothered about that, but the usable acceleration, the acceleration that we need to get onto a motorway from 30 to 60, we're going to have a nosy at. We're going to make sure that this 1 litre 3-cylinder 65 brake horsepower Kia Picanto can do enough to get me onto a merge at a motorway safely. So we'll get up there and have a go. I'm going to turn right and go up the same slip road. It's always going to test the performance of the car because it's uphill as well. Smaller petrol engine vehicles like this are also shorter geared, so you really you get up to the next gear a little sooner, so it won't work in third as long as my car would. However, it's still important to get the performance you can out of the car. They're not really designed to be ragged everywhere, but it doesn't do cars any harm, even these city cars, to put your foot right down. So I am going to use maximum acceleration if possible in this third gear. Now I've got to just be mindful of all the cars all around, so I'm just going to give myself some accelerating space with the ambulance and now see what it can do. So 30, foot's to the floor in third, and as you can see it takes quite a while, but that's 40, it's saying change to fourth. No, I'm not going to bother, it really ring it out, and that's 55 miles an hour. So there you go. So even a little 1 litre 3-cylinder 65 brake horsepower Kia, if you use them in the proper way, it's no worries. And there's me comfortably emerging with the flow of the traffic, not a problem. So what are the brakes like? Well, the brakes don't feel as sharp as my car, but honestly I don't think I've been in a car where the brakes give as much confidence as they do in mine. But even if I leave it a little later, there's no one behind, it'll still stop the car really quickly. So I think most modern cars nowadays have good ability with the brakes, so it's nothing you should be really worried too much about. If your brakes don't feel good and don't feel right, and they're probably broken, you need to get them checked or changed. So the brakes in this car, it's not a problem. It's nippy enough off from a standstill as well, so don't think that you're going to have a problem fitting out into roundabouts with an engine of this size and power. It's about timing. Get planning. Look for the last car. So let's have a little look at some manoeuvring. Let's have a little look to see exactly how sharp this car turns. It should turn quite sharply because of the size of it, but in my experience I've not always had that happen. But we're going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to get myself level with a particular line, this one. I am going to dry steer again. Remember, you shouldn't do this, I have to excuse the beeps, but I'm going to dry steer and then we're going to see where it ends up. My car was just over the line, and as you can see with this, it turns a fair bit sharper than mine does. Let's get out and have a quick look. Look how close my car is to the line. When I used the other car, it turned much sharper and was further away from the line, or nearer the turning point. So all in all, would I think that this would be a good first car? Absolutely. Even parking forward into a bay, it's not my preference, but honestly, the vision that you've got, because of the glass area, the lightness of the steering wheel, it's absolutely lovely, and it's so easy to actually get the car in between the lines of a bay and sorted really early. In my car, you've got to make use of absolutely all the space you can to get it in between the lines. So, is this a good first car? Well, I think it is. With the group insurance, group 2, it's going to be cheap as it will be to insure. I know it's never going to be super cheap for first time drivers, but it's going to be relatively cheap. The running costs are a load better than my car, and honestly I don't think much is going to be cheaper. We're going to look at this again in the long term. We're going to look at many different options and many different cars. The 2-year added warranty that this car's got, even at being 5 years old, for me would be a big pull. I've always said, and always will say, that the looks of the car, it's a personal choice. It's not something that I look at and go, oh, it's lovely. It was quite a nice little drive that I had in this car as well. I enjoyed it. Could live with it on a longer basis. Well, to be honest, I probably could. I've had smaller cars in the past and it wouldn't bother me, but if I was going to do a longer journey on the motorway, I think I would want something with a little bit more oomph. But even that, we've proved today that even this 1 litre 3-cylinder 65 brake horsepower Kia Picanto can cut it on the motorway as well, so no problems. All in all, a very nice little car. Might not be something that you've thought about. You might be going with the stereotypical Fiestas or Corsas, but don't discount the Korean brands because they do make some good things nowadays. I hope that's been useful. Let me know what you think in the comments, and also let me know what you would like me to review next. Keep safe. I'll see you soon.